Have you ever felt déjà vu, a moment so familiar it's as if you've lived it before? Or walked down a street that seemed subtly out of time? We usually dismiss these as tricks of the mind, but what if, for a fleeting second, you weren't just remembering the past, you were actually in it? This is where our journey begins, questioning whether time is truly a one-way street. Every so often stories emerge, people who claim to have witnessed history firsthand or glimpsed the future. These aren't just campfire tales, they're accounts from ordinary people who experienced something extraordinary. Today, we're diving into the world of time slips and time travel, exploring famous cases, bizarre encounters, and what science has to say about breaking the chains of linear time. So, buckle up, our destination isn't a place but a moment. Let's push the boundaries of what we know and ask, what if?
Things you only talk about at the back of the cave.
Let's define a time slip. At its core, a time slip is a mysterious and spontaneous event where someone finds themselves, for a brief moment, in a different era. Almost as if reality itself has glitched. These moments are often fleeting, but they leave a powerful impression, making people question the very nature of time and memory. Unlike time travel as we see in science fiction, a time slip isn't planned or controlled. It's accidental. A sudden, brief stumble into another era, often catching people completely off guard. There's no preparation, no warning, and no way to predict when or where it might happen. Imagine driving down a modern highway, and for a split second, the world outside transforms. Suddenly you see vintage cars rolling by, old buildings lining the street, and a billboard advertising a product from decades ago. The colors, the sounds, even the air feels different, like you've stepped into a living photograph from the past. Then just as quickly, you're back in your own time, heart pounding, mind racing to make sense of what just happened. The experience is so vivid and real that it can be hard to believe it was just a momentary slip. People who experience time slips don't just see the past, they feel it. The smells of an old marketplace, the distant chatter of voices in a language or accent from another time, the unique atmosphere that can't be recreated. It's a full, sensory immersion, as if every detail of the past is suddenly alive around you. It's not like watching a movie or reading a book, it's stepping into the scene itself, becoming a silent observer in a world that shouldn't exist anymore. The boundaries between then and now seem to dissolve if only for a heartbeat. The key is lack of control. Time slips happen to you without warning or intention. You can't force them, and you can't stop them once they begin. They're unpredictable, and that's part of what makes them so unsettling. There's no machine, no button to press, no device to activate. Unlike the stories of time machines and portals, time slips are entirely passive. You're simply swept along for the ride with no idea where or when you'll land. It's as if the universe occasionally lets the boundaries between moments blur, and you just happen to be there at the right or perhaps the wrong time. Some believe these slips are glitches in reality, while others think they're glimpses into parallel worlds or echoes of history. These events are deeply personal, often leaving a lasting, confusing impression. Many people keep their experiences secret, worried they won't be believed, while others document every detail, searching for answers. A time slip is a passive, immersive experience, a reminder that maybe the past isn't gone, just hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. It challenges our understanding of time, memory, and the boundaries of reality itself. The phenomenon is unnerving, but undeniably fascinating. It invites us to question what we know about the world, and to wonder if the past is ever truly out of reach. Could the past be closer than we think? Or are these moments just tricks of the mind? The mystery of time slips continues to captivate and puzzle us, hinting that reality may be far stranger than we ever imagined. Now let's contrast two of the most fascinating concepts in science fiction and folklore: time slips and time travel. Both offer a way to move through the ages, but the experience, the rules, and the sense of wonder are entirely different. If a time slip is like stumbling into another chapter of a book you didn't mean to read, time travel is more like flipping to any page you want, on purpose, with full awareness. Imagine walking down a familiar street and suddenly, the world around you shifts. The air feels different, the sounds change, and you find yourself in another era, with no warning and no control. Time travel, on the other hand, is intentional. It's the stuff of invention and ambition, usually involving a machine, a DeLorean, a phone booth, or a gleaming pod. The traveler prepares, sets coordinates, and steps boldly into the unknown, ready to face whatever awaits on the other side. The beauty of time travel is choice. The traveler decides where and when to go, whether it's the age of dinosaurs, the Renaissance, or a distant, glittering future. Every destination is a deliberate adventure, a leap into history or possibility. In contrast, time slips require no gadgets, no planning, just being in the right place at the right, or perhaps wrong moment. Reality itself seems to thin, and suddenly, you're immersed in a world that shouldn't exist anymore. These slips often happen in historic locations, ancient castles, old streets, or landmarks steeped in memory. It's as if echoes of the past become briefly tangible, letting you glimpse a world long gone just for a moment. So, to sum up, time slips are accidental, brief, and deeply immersive. They leave you with more questions than answers, and often a sense of awe or confusion that lingers long after you return. Time travel, by contrast, is deliberate, controlled, and technological. It's about mastery over time, not surrendering to its mysteries. One makes you a passive observer of a cosmic mystery, swept along by forces you can't understand or predict. The other makes you the hero of your own temporal adventure, an explorer charting the unknown, shaping your own story across the ages. Both ignite our imagination, but they're fundamentally different journeys through the timeline. One is a fleeting brush with the impossible, the other a quest to conquer it. Whether you stumble into the past or steer toward the future, the allure of escaping time's grip is universal. It speaks to our deepest curiosity and our longing to understand the mysteries of existence. So which would you choose, a fleeting, accidental glimpse into another era, or a planned leap across the ages? Let us know in the comments below. Among time-slip stories, the Moberly-Jourdain incident is legendary. In 1901, Charlotte Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain visited Versailles and claimed the atmosphere changed. Everything felt heavy, silent, and out of place. They saw people in 18th century clothing, unfamiliar buildings, and even a woman sketching on the grass, later convinced she was Marie Antoinette. When they returned to the main path, the world snapped back to normal. Research revealed the details they'd seen matched historical records from 1789. Skeptics suggested a reenactment or misinterpretation, but the women stood by their story for life. Their account, published as became a sensation. Was it a true time slip or a psychological event? Either way, it remains one of history's most compelling temporal mysteries. Sometimes the past seems closer than we dare imagine. Fast forward to modern Liverpool. Bold Street, a hotspot for alleged time slips. Dozens have reported the same pattern. Walking down the street, the present vanishes, replaced by scenes from the 1950s or 60s. One famous case, in 1996, an off-duty police officer named Frank suddenly found himself surrounded by vintage cars and old shop fronts, including a bookstore that hadn't existed for decades. Another, a young man chasing his girlfriend, turned a corner and found himself in a cobblestone street with horse-drawn carts. Moments later, both were back in their own time. Skeptics blame Bold Street's mix of old and new architecture or tricks of memory, but for those who've experienced it, the shift is absolute. Air changes, sounds muffle, and the past feels real. Is Bold Street built on a temporal fault line? No one knows, but it's a modern mystery where the past and present seem to overlap. Sometimes shopping comes with a side of history. Would you dare walk Bold Street alone? Now, a baffling case, the man from Taured. In 1954, a man arrived at Tokyo's Haneda Airport with a passport from Taured, a country that doesn't exist. The passport looked authentic, with stamps from real countries, and the man insisted Taured was between France and Spain. He spoke several languages, carried multiple currencies, and claimed to have business in Japan, yet no one had heard of him or his country. Authorities detained him in a guarded hotel room. By morning, he and all his documents had vanished without a trace. Was he a spy, a criminal, or something else? Some believe he slipped in from a parallel universe where Taured exists. The mystery remains unsolved. The story of the man from Taured blurs the line between reality and the impossible. How thin are the walls between worlds? Sometimes the strangest travelers are the ones who shouldn't exist at all. Let's talk science, specifically Einstein. His theories of relativity shattered the idea of time as a universal constant. Time, he showed, is relative. The faster you move, the slower time passes for you. This isn't just theory. GPS satellites must adjust their clocks because time ticks differently in orbit. This means one-way time travel to the future is possible. Travel near light speed, and decades pass on Earth while only years pass for you. But there's a catch: you can't go back. Einstein's equations make moving forward in time plausible, but reversing the flow is a much tougher problem. The speed of light is a cosmic speed limit, one that keeps us from visiting the past. Still, the door to the future is open, at least in theory. The challenge? Building a ship that can approach light speed. Einstein's work inspires hope and sets boundaries. Science says the future is within reach, but the past remains elusive. Yet the search for loopholes continues. If we can't break the speed of light, could we bend space and time instead? Enter the wormhole, a theoretical tunnel connecting distant points in space-time. Imagine folding a sheet of paper and poking a hole through. That's a wormhole. In theory, a wormhole could link not just places but different times. If you could stabilize one, you might step from the present into the past. The catch? We've never seen a wormhole, and they'd likely collapse instantly. Keeping one open would require exotic matter, something with negative energy which may not even exist. So while wormholes are a beautiful solution on paper, they remain speculative. It's like having a recipe for a cake that calls for unicorn tears. Great in theory, impossible in practice. Still, the idea keeps physicists dreaming. Could nature hide shortcuts through time? For now, wormholes are science's most tantalizing what if. Imagine for a moment that humanity overcomes every technical challenge and finally constructs a working time machine. The world would be on the brink of a new era, with the very fabric of reality at our fingertips. But as soon as we take that leap, we're confronted by a host of mind-bending paradoxes that threaten to unravel everything we know about cause and effect. The most famous of these is the grandfather paradox, a classic thought experiment that has puzzled scientists and philosophers for generations. Picture yourself traveling back in time and somehow preventing your grandparents from ever meeting, maybe by accident, or maybe on purpose. If that happened, you would never have been born. But if you were never born, how could you have traveled back in time to interfere in the first place? This is the heart of the paradox, a logical impossibility that seems to defy the very rules of the universe. Any action you take in the past could ripple forward, erasing the conditions that allowed you to travel back at all. It's like a chain of dominoes that loops back on itself, creating a never-ending cycle of cause and effect with no clear beginning or end. To address this, some physicists have proposed the Novikov self-consistency principle, a fascinating idea that suggests the universe has built-in safeguards against paradoxes. According to this principle, whatever you do in the past was always meant to happen. Your actions, no matter how dramatic, were already woven into the tapestry of history. You can't change the past because your attempts to do so are already part of it. So, if you try to stop your grandparents from meeting, the universe will conspire to make sure you fail, perhaps through a series of unlikely coincidences or simple bad luck. No matter how hard you try, something will always get in your way. The past, it seems, is stubbornly resistant to change, but not everyone agrees. Another intriguing possibility is the many worlds theory. In this view, changing the past doesn't alter your own timeline. Instead, it creates a brand new one. Every decision, every action causes reality to branch off, forming countless parallel universes. If you prevent your grandparents from meeting, you simply find yourself in a new timeline where you were never born, while your original timeline continues on, untouched. In this scenario, you'd be stranded in a reality that's not your own, surrounded by unfamiliar faces and histories. The paradox is avoided, but at the cost of never being able to return to the world you once knew. These solutions sidestep the original problem, but they open up a whole new set of mysteries. Time travel, then, might not be a way to fix your past mistakes, but rather a path to endless alternate realities, each with its own unique story. The universe, it seems, is fiercely protective of its own history, ensuring that the past remains intact, no matter how hard we try to change it. Paradoxes like these are the ultimate cosmic puzzle, enigmas that challenge our understanding of time, reality, and free will. Can we ever truly outsmart time itself, or are we forever bound by its mysterious rules? The debate rages on as we continue to search for answers in the vast, uncharted territory of the cosmos. We've traveled from Versailles to Liverpool, from Einstein's equations to the edge of science fiction. We've seen that the line between strange experience and true time slip is blurry. Science says the future is possible, But the past is tangled in paradox. The stories, real or imagined, remind us the world is stranger than we think. They challenge our sense of reality, suggesting the past might still be within reach. Time travel remains the ultimate fantasy, to witness history, meet our heroes, or glimpse the future. Even if we never build a time machine, the dream pushes us to explore and imagine. So next time you feel déjà vu, let your mind wander. What if you could step into another time? In our stories and dreams, we are all time travelers. The greatest journey is the one you take in your imagination. Where to next?